Welcome back to the Journeys in Business series. I'm Jess, owner of Jess Creatives, and in this series, I'm sitting down with entrepreneurs to hear about their journeys in business and lessons they have learned. Hey, Abby, thanks so much for joining me.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so to kick us off, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about your business?
So I am Abby Herman with Right Solutions, and I am a copywriter and a content coach. I help small business owners get their message out there in their own voice and on their own terms, whether it's me doing the writing for them or me coaching them through the writing process.
Nice. So have you always been a copywriter, or how did you get into this?
I have not. So I have been doing this full time since May 2013. Prior to that, I was an elementary school teacher for 13 years. And before that, I was in public relations. That's actually what my bachelor's degree is in.
Oh,
Is
nice.
public relations. So
How did you, so you went from PR to education and now the copywriting. So what made you switch from PR to education? I feel like that's a big jump. Like,
yeah.
PR to copywriting, like I could kind of see, but
totally fits, yeah. So gosh, well, so I'm a little older than your typical entrepreneur, and I graduated from college in 1995, and when I was in college, I wasn't terribly ambitious, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and I liked writing, and I liked the whole aspect of planning out these PR campaigns. And so that was kind of like, okay, well, maybe I'll just do a PR degree because I didn't know what else to do. And so I worked in PR for almost 5 years. I worked in healthcare and nonprofit public relations. And nonprofits are not really nonprofit. And I was a little disenchanted by some of the things I was seeing. And I didn't really feel like, even though I was in the nonprofit realm, I didn't really feel like I was making an impact. And at the same time, my mom, she stayed home with my sister and I most of the time when we were kids, and she worked for my dad. My dad owned his own business for a long time, and she was like, well, I have a degree in English, and so I think I'm just going to go be a teacher. So she was going through classes and student teaching to become a teacher, and I visited her in the classroom, and I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. So I went back so I quit my full-time job and did some temp work to kind of make ends meet, and then ended up becoming a teacher. So, and I did that for 13 years. So I got a master's in curriculum and instruction during that time too.
Oh, nice.
Because you can't move on the pay scale at some stage. You can't move on the pay scale until until you have a master's degree.
Yeah.
So I did that, and yeah.
Love that.
And then the transition from education to what I'm doing now was I have a daughter. I'm divorced, and when I got divorced, she was still pretty young, but like I couldn't make ends meet. Teachers, budgets got cut. We weren't getting pay raises. State retirement kept increasing. They kept increasing the out-of-pocket costs for health insurance, and I needed to do something. I needed a second job. I had to have something. So but I knew I didn't want to do anything out of the house because I was already spending so much time away from my daughter that I couldn't justify getting a job and having to put her in daycare.
Right.
My parents are 30 minutes away. They were both working at the time. So it was like, I had to do something. So I was poking around on my school's website one day, and I noticed the company that developed my school's website is local here in Arizona, and they hire stay-at-home moms, and you work from home. And I was like, well, perfect, because they were looking for copywriters. So I was like, well, I can totally do that. So I sent an email to the owner, and she was like, well, we really need people we need people that can work during the day. And I was like, okay, well, I want to start my own business though. Can you this is what I want to do this. This sounds like a lot of fun. I want to do this. And so she gave me some tips, and I was like, okay, cool. And a couple months later, I'm like, okay, I really just want to work for this company. So I sent her another email and she's like, well, maybe we can use you. I mean, I think I was just, I'm one of those people that don't tell me no because I don't take no, sorry. You know, like, ask my parents, I drove them crazy. My daughter's the same way. It's really kind of sad. Like, came around to bite me. So I emailed her again and I said, you know, I really want to do this. And she's like, okay, well, maybe we can use you. So she sent me to to the woman who does, she works with the copywriters and the content updaters. And so they hired me and I did stuff in the evening and on the weekends. And I was not very happy in my teaching position because of all the things I did. And you know, in addition to just the pay cuts and the, there's so much politics involved in education. It's so sad. And I just was really unhappy. And I kept saying, I got another client that was curriculum work. And so I started doing that and working for this other company. And eventually I was like, you know, maybe I could do this. Like, people do this, you know? I mean, because when I graduated from college, I never thought in a million years, like, I could do what I'm doing now for a living, you know? It wasn't a thing. The internet was barely a thing. And, you know, so eventually, like, one thing led to another. Every year I would tell my teaching friends, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't do it. And every year they're like, yeah, right. And then one day I was just like, something happened, and I wish I remembered what it was, but something like clicked and it like happened at school, and I was like, done.
So done.
And so I literally the next day I resigned, and happened to be the day that our contracts were coming out for the following year. And so I had that deer in headlights, oh my God, what have I done moment, you know, I'm a single parent and I don't get child support and I don't ask my parents for money. Like, I don't borrow money from my parents. And I was almost 40 at the time. And it was like, what have I done? And my God, those last 2 months of school before we let out, I just did everything I could to get new clients and to make money so that I could actually support myself. And so now it's been almost 4 years and I'm still at it. So
I love it.
Long answer to a short question.
No, but that's really cool because, you know, like, I know a lot of people, like, I was unhappy in my day jobs and I was freelancing, but it was like you, when I graduated college, I was like, I never really thought that I would actually work for myself. And I thought, oh, I'll do it when I'm like 50. Like, I'll just do it a long time, a long time from now. Cause I didn't know any entrepreneurs when I graduated college. Like, I didn't know. And then I just remember stumbling across this freelance blog and joining my first Facebook group. And I was like, wait a minute, people do this? Like, and then that's when I was like, yeah, like, I want to do this. And even then I still thought, okay, maybe in like 10 years, I shortened my timeline. And it happened in 2 years. And it was just like, I worked really hard I wanted out of those day jobs and to work for myself. And I think when you're really unhappy, it makes you even work harder to get out instead of just like, oh, like, I want to own my own business someday. Not to say they don't work hard too, but I think it's the unhappiness helps drive you to work harder and like,
I figure it out. Well, it's funny because people in my family are entrepreneurs. My grandfather, I'm pretty sure it was his entire working adult life, he owned a cattle company in Kansas. And then when my grandparents moved here to Phoenix, he owned cattle in Queen Creek, which is way out in the middle of nowhere. My dad owned his own business when I was growing up, but his was more corporate. I mean, it was like, he sold accounting software. So it was very like, you know, collared shirt, kind of, you know, not in front of the computer. My mom had her own business and she did, and I think she saw hers as more of a hobby. She did craft shows and she's very artsy crafty and does that stuff on the side. My sister she's a CPA and she has her own accounting firm. She didn't at the time, you know, when I was when I was in college. She started her business about 10 years ago, but it's like, I mean, it kind of like runs in the blood. And so, but I like never thought like, you know,
you would end up being your own boss too.
Yeah.
But I love that. And now do you think your daughter will be an entrepreneur? Do you think
I don't know. She tells me that I'm a lot less crabby now than when I was a teacher, and it's so true.
I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah, she literally told me that one day, Mom, you're a lot less crabby now than you used to be. Like, yeah, because I love what I do now.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's very intellectual and she's very into science and math. She wants to do something in the medical / science field, even though she hates math, and she does not like, she's good in science, but she hates math. But she's so good at it. She's so good at it. So I don't know what she's going to do. She's a freshman this year, so she feels like she has to have it all figured out. I'm like, you know, this is my third career, so you do not need to have it all figured out. And it's totally okay to try things out.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's you've set a really good example for her. And like, you can still change things. You can try new things. Doesn't matter what your degree was initially in. Doesn't matter how old you are. Like, you can totally just keep changing and trying new things.
Yeah.
I think that's
the important thing is to be happy. I mean, you have to be happy, because I was miserable the last couple of years of teaching, and I was not a fun person to be around. I literally went back to some of my teaching friends and said, thank you for still being my friend after all that. I mean, I was going through personal stuff too, but it was like, and so that weighed a lot into my decision to leave too. But you just have to be happy.
Happiness is huge. Like my first few years of being married, my husband and I were working at different jobs. Like, both of us were miserable. And up until like 2016, both of us were always just like changing jobs and, you know, whatever. One of us was always unhappy. And now, like 2016, we were both doing what we loved. He works full time and I work for myself, obviously. And it was like, wow, like 2016 was a really great year because we both got to do what we loved. And even though it's not perfect, and there are still days that I leave work tired or, you know, whatever, it's like a huge difference. And I think back to those first few years of us like hating our jobs and how like unhappy both of us were. Like, it just makes me really excited now that we both are doing what we love full time. Like, huge difference.
Yes, it does make a huge difference.
So what is your favorite part about what you do?
I get to wear my pajamas every day. I mean, come on.
Like,
right?
Yes. You and I have
I've listened to a lot of your podcasts, and I don't think anybody has said that, but come on. Like, that has got to be. Yeah. Like, I get to wear my pajamas every day. I have a shirt on today, and I'm wearing pajama bottoms and slippers, and I have my little old lady blanket on my lap because it's cold today. But yeah, like, I love being able to just like have the freedom to be able to, you know, be in my pajamas and be comfortable. So, and that's like, honestly, I love that. So like, but another reason, the more PC reason why the more PC favorite part is that I see so many people out there frustrated, and I saw it even as a teacher too, with the things that my administration was putting out, like the emails and the letters home to parents and the brochures and things like that. Like, there were so many, and I'm totally not a grammar freak, but there were a lot of typos, and you know, they were really frustrated with it. My principal asked me to do our school newsletter because she knew I was moonlighting, and she knew that I could help. So she asked me to help her with that. And you know, there's so many people that are frustrated with content and with writing. And so I just like to be able to take that frustration away. It was one of the, you know, they talked about the aha moments in teaching where you just see the kids' eyes light up, and to be able to help, you know, entrepreneurs do that so that they can grow their business is just, I love that.
Yeah. Love that.
So
you've
and I get to do it in my pajamas.
Yeah. That's like the cherry on top.
It is.
Yeah.
So much.
So you've kind of already touched on this, but I'll see if you have anything to add. What's your big why? Like, what drives you in your business?
Honestly, it's the freedom. It's
Mm-hmm.
knowing that I don't know, this is not going to sound quite right, but I have the control. I'm in control.
Yeah.
I control my own destiny. The governor of the state of Arizona can't determine how much money I can make in a year.
Mm-hmm.
He can't set, I don't have a school superintendent telling me I can't wear flip-flops to school because, come on, if I'm not in my pajamas, I'm wearing flip-flops. I do live in Arizona, but it just, like there's unlimited potential out
Yeah.
there. And to be able to show my daughter that there's unlimited potential, and honestly that she can be empowered to do whatever she wants in her life. I mean, I know that that's kind of like cliche that, oh, you can do whatever you want, but it's true. And I don't want her to ever think that she needs to depend on someone else or, need someone else to survive.
Yeah.
And like, I love being able to help other people do that too.
Yeah.
So, just having that freedom, having that, like unlimited potential. Yeah. You can do what you want. And I don't have to plan what time I go to the bathroom, like.
Oh man, I love that.
I mean, if you're a teacher, you can go to the bathroom at 10:30 and 12:15 and that's it.
And that is it. Oh man. I remember at my day jobs, we used to have to stagger when we would take lunch. So like, at one job, it was so that someone could man the phone. At another job, it was so that someone was always in our office because there were like multiple people in one little office. Like we were all like at a table. Just like, I remember having to like stagger lunches. So then I would eat lunch by myself and it was like, this is awful.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you do as a teacher too. You have to eat lunch at a certain time. And if you don't happen to care for your teammates, which I always really liked, the people I was working with, they're good friends of mine even still. But if you don't happen to like them, then you're totally screwed. You go eat lunch in the cafeteria, in your classroom by yourself.
Yeah. Oh man. Which, I mean, I still eat lunch by myself, but at least it's at home and I can be in my pajamas eating my lunch.
Exactly.
At what time I choose.
Exactly.
That's the most
Exactly.
important part. Oh, man. So if you could go back and tell yourself something for when you first started 4 years ago, what would you tell yourself?
Let's see, probably to just like, at the beginning. So when I first left my day job, I was kind of in culture shock. I didn't know, even when I left my day job, I didn't know that like this whole online space was a thing, so this was in 2013. I found jobs on guru.com. I found jobs on Upwork and freelance writing jobs.com, I think it was. That's where I found my clients. And because I didn't know that there were Facebook groups out there. And I think, and so like, I just felt so alone, I'm pretty introverted. And so I was in culture shock from being around all these bodies, this neediness all day to, I'm like, it's quiet. And so I think I would probably like tell myself to find people, find your community, find, others who are doing the same thing. I've made so many great connections in the last year that I had no idea. Like, I think, I can't remember how I found out about Savvy Business Owners and the Savvy Experience, but when I heard about the Savvy Experience, it was here in Phoenix. And I was like, okay, it's like a no-brainer. I have to go. Yeah. And so, like, I hesitated about making the investment, but I did it. And then I was like, okay, I know myself. If I go to this, I am going to sit in my room the whole time hiding. I'm going to sit by myself at the tables. I'm not going to talk to anybody unless I get out there and start meeting people. So it was probably like December of 2005, December of 2015, January of 2016. Yeah. I started like getting in there and started finding more Facebook groups and interacting with people, doing the coffee chats and things like that. because, and like, since then, I think I'm a totally different person. My business has taken a totally different direction in a good way. And so, yeah, just finding that community and really just interacting with people. I mean, it's so easy. We don't have to go anywhere. We don't have to put on pants. We can wear our, we can wear our slippers and pajamas and interact with people and talk to people. And my business has grown. I've met, this great graphic designer that's helping me out with a project.
Oh, gee, I wonder who that is.
So it's, I would say, find your people and interact, and don't be afraid to do it. There's so many people that are afraid to get on coffee chats with people, and everybody's just as nervous as the next person. So
do you have any tips for doing those first few coffee chats? Like, do you have, I know some people kind of have like a quote unquote structure, or like they have like these 3 questions in mind. Like, do you do any of that, or do you have any tips?
Not really. Somebody asked me the other day what my strategy is for doing coffee chats, and I'm like,
they're coffee chats.
I just do it with me. If I see somebody that I think I'm gonna like, I'll say, hey, let's have a coffee chat.
Yeah.
like there's no hidden agenda, there's no structure, there's no, I mean, I know that people do that, and if that's what makes you comfortable, then by all means do it. But for me, I literally look for people that I think I'm gonna like, and I ask them to connect, or people that I have something in common with, things like that. But I think the biggest thing for the coffee chats is not to have that agenda, to go into it with no expectations. You're not getting on the phone with somebody or on Skype or Zoom with someone to make a sale. You're not there to pitch your services. You're there to find out about them as a person. And every once in a while, somebody will say, well, hey, can you send me information about XYZ package? Or I'll say, I really need you, And if that happens naturally in the conversation, great. But it should never be forced, and it should never be an expectation at all. Yeah. That's what makes it, that turns it icky, I think, when you go into it. I would love to be able to refer people, but, and I would love for people to refer me, but it's totally not an expectation at all. I had somebody say that to me once at the end of a coffee chat. Well, I wish I knew somebody that I could send to you, and I wish that, I needed you right now. And I'm like, that's not why we're here. We're here to just get to know each other.
Yeah, this is us standing by the water cooler.
Yeah, because naturally it will happen. It will, not with everybody, but naturally it will happen that you get the shout outs in the groups, and you get, people connecting one another, but it doesn't have to happen. And that's totally okay.
Have you connected with any other local entrepreneurs?
Actually.
Local friends?
Yeah, so I don't remember what group it was in, but somebody said in a group that she lived in Surprise, which is literally 15 minutes from where I live. I live on the far west side of Phoenix in Litchfield Park. And so, so I was like, hey, let's get together for, a drink or go have lunch or something. And so it's Heather Pranitis with Member Nerd Bookkeeping. So she and I met at a bowling alley one afternoon.
To go, actually to go bowling, or just
no, we went there. It's it's one of those bowling alleys that has a bar, and pool tables, and it has.
I was like, that's a fun let's go bowling.
And so we sat and had a tea, and we did not have a drink, but we had a tea, and we totally clicked, and literally she lives 15 minutes from me. So
that's really
how cool is that?
Yeah.
And then there's a couple other, Cindy Maka, who lives really close to me, or not really close. She lives in town. She lives on the other side of town, but she lives in town. But so I've met a few, and of course Heather Crabtree is in town, and so I've met her in person a couple times. But
that's fun.
Yeah, it's fun to be able to make that personal connection too. So in real life, I call it.
So I know this is a little bit different than a coffee chat, but I'd love for you to talk about your CEO dates, because I know you started doing these, and I know not a lot of people do them or know what they are. So I'd love to have you tell us about that.
They are the best. So I've even done them with my sister. So my sister, I told you she's a CPA. She lives in town, but she's like an hour away on the totally opposite side of the world from me. So we've done them too. Basically, we spend so much time, especially service-based businesses, we spend so much time doing client work and working on client work, and we often forget like to work on our own business and to build our content, write content, create social posts, get our systems in place, stuff like that. So the CEO date is like meant to kind of hold you accountable for doing that. And so it's what I've done, and you can do it any way you want, but what I've done is created this 90-minute block in my calendar, or on my Acuity calendar. So I send people the CEO date link and they can sign up for a time, and I have specific days of the week and specific times that I do CEO time. And so basically you spend like the first 2 or 3 minutes just saying, here's the things I need to do in my business right now. Each person does that, and then in a Zoom call or Skype or whatever, and then you just work, and it's silent, and you don't talk to each other except to ask a question. Hey, what would you do if XYZ? That kind of thing. But and so for 90 minutes, you're stuck.
You have to
right?
work.
You're stuck at your computer, and you've got somebody sitting there watching you. And of course, nobody's going to know if you sneak onto Facebook or if you check an email. But I mean, I have a really hard time lying, so I can't. And like at the end, I can't say nope, didn't touch Facebook at all.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it totally holds you accountable for making sure you get the work done. And the people that I've done them with, myself included, have all said, oh my God, I can't believe how much I got done during this time. And, I got, and because at the end you check in and you say, I got this and this and this done, and I still need to do this. And so it's, And in fact, I'm like building a whole program around accountability and making sure people are getting stuff done in their business that they need to get done. So.
Yeah, I love that. I used to, one of my business friends, we used to get on Skype and like co-work, and it wasn't we would literally do it for like 3 hours at a time. But,
oh, wow.
Yeah, but we didn't have it like set, like this is what we're working on. We would literally just like pull up Skype and then like put it off, pull Skype to like the corner of the screen, and we would kind of, at least, like the first 15-20 minutes, we'd just like catch up and chat, and then it'd be like, okay, well now I need to like work on this, and we would ask each other questions and just kind of talk business and whatever. And it was, like I said, we just worked on whatever we were working on, but it was kind of like co-working, like having, an office mate like you have at an office job. And it was always kind of fun because especially when my husband would come home, he'd be like, who are you talking to? The first few times it happened, he was like, what is going on? And then he'd be like, oh, you're co-working, quote unquote, co-working. And I'm like, what? It's easy because I can stay home in my pajamas. She lives halfway across the country.
Yep.
And so this is a fun way to, actually, because I like going to coffee shops kind of, but I always feel like I'm really distracted, and it's like people walking in and whatever. I'm like, okay, now I need to go home and like actually get some more work done. I worked in here for like an hour, but I always like the Skype because, especially if like, it was always funny if one of us started like playing a music video or like a song on Spotify or whatever, and it'd be like, what are you doing? What are you listening to? But yeah, it's kind of cool how we can still work at home, but connect with people through coffee chats or CEO dates. And like you said earlier, it's really great for just connecting and getting to know other people, but it also really helps your business in an inadvertent way, because you're like you said, we're not pitching. It's not like we're going to set up this collaboration and like do this stuff together. It's just, hey, like I think I would like you, because that's how it happens. I'm always like, okay, I've seen you commenting on a lot of posts, and I feel like we have a bunch of stuff in common, and I feel like we should chat.
Yeah, I think you'd be fun to talk to. Let's talk. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly, and maybe I'm going about it wrong but I mean, like in the long run, I've grown my business since I started doing coffee chats, and not a lot of the people that I've had coffee chats with have hired me, you know, in the end, but that's okay. I'm still getting out there and I'm getting to know people, and that's what's grown my business is because I think the more you know somebody talking like we're talking like this, you know, face to face on video, the more comfortable you are with commenting on posts, and because you know you're not this invisible person. You actually, people know you in the group. And I think that's really important. Absolutely. Because it's so impersonal. Facebook and social media in general, yes, that's how we grow our businesses, but it's still really impersonal. And so having that connection and having those conversations are important. Yeah.
So is there anything you had that you wish you had done differently over the last few years?
Over the last few years,
or before?
I don't know. I think that I should have. I don't know. It's hard to look backwards. I think that I wish I would have quit my day job sooner. But I wasn't in a financial place where I could do that. Right. But I still wasn't in a financial place to do that when I did quit. So I'm sure I could have quit. That's totally a backwards answer. I'm trying to dodge your question. I don't know. I mean, I think that when I first quit and I was really struggling, I actually talked about ego hit. I went back to my former principal and asked for a job back after, I think it was about a year, because I was really afraid in my business. I wasn't growing. I was working like 60 hours a week. It was ridiculous. I was miserable yet again. And so I went back to my principal. Can I have a job? I saw you had something posted. Totally. It wasn't teaching in the classroom or anything. It was doing interventions with kindergartners and helping kindergartners who didn't know their letters and numbers. And if you know anything about me, you know that I am not that huggy teacher. I need my personal space kind of teacher, and kindergartners just want to touch you, and you know. So it was. I sound like a terrible person, but
I'm the same way. I'm like, hey kids, like stay 5 feet away from me.
I do love kids, but when there's that many of them, it's like, okay,
it's a little overwhelming.
It's I would be like going on, So anyway, so I, at the same time I did that, I was hiring a coach. And so if I had hired a coach sooner, I think that I would have made more progress, because I only lasted 2 months in the new position, because I was also trying to grow my business and working with a coach who was giving me this homework that I was having to do. And so I only lasted 2 months before I started, the momentum in my business started picking up again, and I felt more comfortable with everything. So hiring a coach sooner, I mean, had to be the best investment I've made in my business so far. And I'm still, so that was 3 years ago, and I'm still working with her. So
that's awesome.
So
I've worked with coaches individually and in a group program. I did the group program first just because it came up first. And that I'd never worked with a coach or a mentor or anything. And that, like you said, was huge for my business. I was like, I wish I had done this sooner. Granted, it wasn't available sooner, but like it was huge. I'm so glad that I signed up for that and did it. And I mean, when you can afford it, or if you can make it work somehow, like hiring a coach is huge. I think just having someone else have an outside perspective on your business is really helpful, and just getting, someone else who has some more experience or different expertise than you, I think it's just can really, really help you grow your business. Because I think sometimes in our own businesses, we get really narrow focused, like we have blinders on, we're just day in, day out, like working on clients and blogging and, whatever. And you look up and you're like, okay, well, like when I decided to sign up for that group coaching program, I was like, I don't know what to do next. Like everything was good, because like from the outside, my business looked great. I had clients, I was busy blogging, all this stuff. And I was just like, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do next. What would be the next best step for me? How I can really grow my business. And just having other people speak into my business was hugely helpful.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Yeah. I've done I've done individual coaching and group coaching also, like group coaching / masterminding.
Yeah.
And I love the individual coaching because you get all of that attention and you get homework and activities and things that are really specific to what your goals are.
Yeah.
And then I like the group mastermind aspect also because of the relationships that you can build in there, and you get to hear from all different perspectives, and you get the benefit of a coach too.
Yeah.
So I like both of them. Right now, where I am in my business, I'm in a couple of like small mastermind type groups with people that one group that of kind of newer business owners that I just really like, and then another one with business owners that we've been in business for a while, and we're trying to find ways to expand the horizons a little bit.
Yeah.
But then I'm also doing individual coaching because I think that's, kind of what I need to just keep the momentum going, and the whole accountability thing. So.
Oh, yes. So what are you working on for the rest of 2017?
Well, so I am looking to expand my horizons a little bit. I have a couple of courses coming out and programs, one of which will be in session when this airs. And it's an accountability-based program that is designed to help people get their content written and hold them accountable for it. Nice. So like, wouldn't it be great to like come up on summer break and not have to write any blogs for like a month, or when it comes time for the holidays to have like, all of your blogs written from November through the end of January, because that's such a crazy time of year. So that's kind of my goal, is to help walk people through that process on how to get 3 months ahead on your content, and so that you can kind of sit back and relax. And then I have a couple other programs, kind of mini courses coming out over the summer, relating to content, obviously, and how to develop ideas for your content.
Nice.
I wrote a blog that went live was it last week? Just recently, that went live in January. That was about my 150 blog ideas for 2017. So literally in November, December, I sat down and I just came up with all of these ideas, and okay, those are going to be my blog posts for 2017.
Nice.
And it really is not that difficult to do, as long as you have like the right mindset and you have like a system for coming up with them. Yeah. So one of the courses I have will be relating to that, and how to come up with all these ideas that are that they don't necessarily have to be time sensitive. Yeah. They can be timely no matter when you post them. Yeah. So.
Love that.
So yeah, lots of courses and videos, and I might be having some videos pop up on my blog here and there coming up soon. So awesome. I'm excited. Yeah. Yeah. So, then I have to like, put my hair on and my makeup on.
More regularly, yeah.
More regularly, or I'll just do them all in the same day and change my shirt.
There you go. That's what I do. That's what I do. So where can we connect with you online to keep up with the courses and the videos and all this other fun stuff?
So my website is abbymherman.com, and you have to have the M in there. And I am at Abby M. Herman on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all of that as well. So awesome. I just changed them all over because I was using Right Solutions. So I'm trying to remember. One of them has a 1 at the end, and I can't remember which one because Abby M. Herman wasn't available.
Oh, well, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Yes, thank you. I'm very glad to be here. So thanks.